mean, why would Trump not just get on the debate stage, put his ideas up against the other candidates who are running against him, and have the voters decide based on that rather than dodging these debates? You mentioned Joe Biden. Joe Biden participated in presidential nominating contests as well.
I didn't see him in this cycle participating in any debates.
So Nikki Haley today said that the United States has never been a racist country. Do you agree with that? And what about internment camps for migrants? But Trump has said that he would do that. Would you support his decision to make camps for migrants?
What is good, YouTube family? It's your boy Rashad with the Black Anomaly Horizon channel. So we got to talk about woke shield media anchor for CNN, Abby Phillip again. So unfortunately, she's probably not going to be getting smoked by Vivek. Not for a while, but we got, I guess, the next best thing. We got Ben Carson. Now, in fairness, I don't know that much about Ben Carson. At least I didn't prior to this interview. Basically, she poses all of these ridiculous questions with the most insanely biased framing that I've probably ever seen. Completely misinterprets and twists people's words around. Does like some of the most absurd stuff. And meanwhile, still, you have all these networks claiming that they don't understand why people don't trust them, why they don't listen to them, and so forth. When, like in my last video, you got people taking Trump's speech off the air and in some cases not showing it at all, and, you know, doing all of these weirdly framed questions and so forth. Not necessarily trying to just hold people accountable, but trying to misrepresent what they represent. I feel like this stuff needs to be called out. So without further ado, let's get into what Ben and Abby are over here talking about.
Joining us tonight is Ben Carson, the former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under Donald Trump. Secretary Carson, thanks for joining us. So Donald Trump has not agreed to a single debate in this cycle. If he is such a dominant candidate in this race, what is he so afraid of?
Well, there's no advantage for him to do a debate because he's so far ahead. And probably is using the same philosophy that Joe Biden is using.
So, just pay attention to what she says next. But the key factor here is that really, if you want to keep it real, honestly, everybody kind of already knows what Trump and Biden are about. So in my opinion, there really isn't that much point to doing really debates at this point, especially when you're ahead in the polls. And notice how she's going to specifically call out Trump for this, but not say anything about Biden. She's going to like try to ignore the fact that Biden is not participating in any debates, not to mention the fact that they canceled primaries in a couple states. But I digress.
But Nikki Haley is now set to have a strong performance in New Hampshire after she finished third, a close third in Iowa. How is that not a race?
She was not close to Trump. She was close to DeSantis. Nobody was close to Trump, period.
Real threat to Trump's quest for the nomination. It's so early in this process.
Well, if you want to look at something that's interesting, look historically at Iowa. No one has ever had more than 50% of the vote. In fact, the largest margin before has been 12%. So this is an incredible statement by the people in Iowa. And you find the same kind of sentiment all over the country. The people are ready to move to a place where we can actually compare the thoughts and the philosophies of the progressive parties with the conservative parties, look at the history of how they have worked, and make a decision.
But I'll ask you again, I mean, why would Trump not just get on the debate stage, put his ideas up against the other candidates who are running against him, and have the voters decide based on that rather than dodging these debates? You mentioned Joe Biden.
The voters already decided, Abby. The majority of them already decided. There's nothing else to decide. The people who are undecided, in my opinion, the people who are undecided at this point don't really matter. I mean, hey, I'm sorry for any of y'all who are undecided, but a lot of y'all, let's face it, probably ain't going to vote any dang way because it's going to come down to Biden and Trump, and y'all probably don't support either one of them anyway. Joe Biden's way too sorry, and a lot of people just think Trump's guilty, whether there's evidence for it or not. So it is what it is.
debates. You mentioned Joe Biden. Joe Biden participated in presidential nominating contests as well.
What does that mean, Abby? That sounds like a lie. Ben, go ahead, Tara.
I didn't see him in this cycle participating in any debates.
What you got to say about that? What you mean? You heard the way she said it. She was like, he's participated in, some other stuff. Something, right? No, he hasn't.
If it's not advantageous to you, there's no particular reason to do it.
Facts.
So should Nikki Haley then, if Trump is, in your eyes, inevitably going to be the nominee, do you think that she should be considered on the short list for vice president?
I think the president has the right to consider anyone who he thinks will be beneficial to the cause.
What about yourself? Would you consider being Trump's VP?
You know, right now my concentration is on getting into place the kind of leader who can quell some of the chaos that's going on in many aspects of our society. And until such time as that, as far as I'm concerned, it's a distraction.
Was that a no, you don't want to be vice president ever, or a no, you're not considering it right now?
I mean, this dude is way too chill to be Trump's VP. Maybe this is just how he is in his interview with Abby, because he don't even feel like engaging with her ridiculously framed questions. But, I mean, just look at him. Love the way he dismantles the questions and he doesn't get really emotional or anything. He's not trying to, just smoke her. He's just trying to in my opinion, rightfully so, putting her in her place with some of these dumb questions that she's asking, just by being pretty much dang near one-word answers. No, it doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. It's not beneficial. I like the way he's answering these questions.
That's a no. Let's move on to get the person in place. And when that person is in place, then we can talk about that.
So Nikki Haley today said that the United States has never been a racist country. Do you agree with that?
Look, I'm going to go ahead and call Abby Phillip out here about this. I'm going to show y'all the clip of what Nikki Haley actually said. And trust me, I don't even like Nikki Haley, but the way that Abby is framing this is totally absurd. Take a look.
The elephant in the room, she's still a brown lady that's got to try to win in a party that is deeply anti-immigrant. It's still a challenge. I don't see how she becomes the nominee of that party with Donald Trump still around. I can't picture it happening. Maybe it could happen. Ron DeSantis' only argument for staying in it is he's the white guy, that he can still make the appeal to white people.
Are you a racist party? Are you involved in a racist party?
No. We're not a racist country, Brian. We've never been a racist country. Our goal is to make sure that today is better than yesterday. Are we perfect? No. But our goal is to always make sure we try and be more perfect every day that we can. I know I faced racism when I was growing up, but I can tell you today is a lot better than it was then. Our goal is to lift up everybody, not go and divide people on race or gender or party or anything else. We've had enough of that in America.
As you can see, Abby is full of crap. She's lying. She's not telling the truth. She's trying to find some sort of weird gotcha. I'm like, Nikki Haley literally right after that statement, as part of a complete thought, mentioned that she had experienced racism herself. So she's not saying racism never existed or anything. Abby, stop the cap. This is not working. Okay, maybe it works on certain people, but overall it's not working with the majority of Americans. I was showed that already. New Hampshire's about to show it. And all of America's about to show it. Y'all are finished. It's over.
There certainly has been a lot of racism in the United States. There's no question about that. And we have made enormous progress.
That's literally what Nikki Haley said.
But you must recognize that while there were people who were engaged in racist activities, there's also been a large number of people who were just the opposite. During the time of slavery, there were a large number of abolitionists. There were people of good faith and kind individuals. So would you take those individuals and say the United States is a kind country because they existed?
Yo, this dude is based. He's based, in my opinion, it's like there's no effort. This is how easy it truly is to dismantle these far leftist lunatics and these shill liberal media outlets. Because basically, it's like when they talk about J6 and they call it like this crazy violent insurrection. And you had like certain people who were doing violent activities, and you had other people who just weren't. And then because of the bad people, they just like, it was this uprising. It was a coup. They're like, go crazy. And I'm like, what about all the rest of the people who were just walking around? That doesn't make any sense. Imagine if, like, that's like when somebody takes, like, when they show, like, all these black folks on TV, like, oh, there was a robbery at a store. It's like, oh, so we just gonna call all black people just ravaging criminals? That doesn't make any sense. I haven't committed any crimes. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. And I love the way that he's dismantling Abby Phillip's ridiculous points. This is freaking perfect. And then he's so freaking chill. He's smooth with it. I kind of like it, yo.
You could just acknowledge the fact that there were many different types of people, including some very racist people who had very racist policies.
Would you say, though, what she said, which is that America has never been a racist country?
I will say that there has never been a time when there haven't been evil people and racist people in the country, including presently.
Since Trump, as we've been discussing, has avoided all debates so far, and frankly, a lot of serious policy questions, like Ron DeSantis, for example, answered tonight in his town hall, I wonder if you could answer a yes or no to just a
Trump literally did a town hall with y'all. What are you talking about? What do you mean he's avoiding policy questions? He did a town hall with y'all where y'all tried to fact check him on the spot, and he just did another town hall with Fox News. What are you talking about? He's dodging questions. He literally, it was asked plenty of questions, and he answers them all the time.
Questions here. Just the question here is, would you support Trump doing the following things in his administration if he's elected? So I'll start with this. A self-pardon for January 6th crimes. Would you support Trump doing that?
I think that might be very reasonable.
And what about internment camps for migrants?
I think we need to get to a place where we don't have policies that invite the migrants in. And then we don't have to deal with the concept of internment camps, which obviously is not very palatable.
But Trump has said that he would do that. Would you support his decision to
So I've looked for Trump verbatim saying that he would put illegal migrants in internment camps. I have not been able to find this statement. If anybody's aware of what the heck she's talking about, let me know. I saw his town hall. I did not see him say anything about putting migrants in internment camps or whatever you want to call them. I have not found that, so I don't know what the heck she's talking about.
Camps for migrants?
Well, they have to have some place to stay. But again, the key thing is to make sure that we have policies in place that don't bring millions of people into our country, jeopardize not only our economy, but our safety, because there might be terrorists among them.
And what about pulling out of NATO? Would you support that?
Well, let's put it this way. I think the formation of NATO was a very good idea, and I think it has helped to stem the tide on warfare, particularly in Europe. I think the policies that were put in place, including 2% of your GDP for defense, should be enforced. And if they are not enforced, and if we're expected to carry the entire load ourselves, then we need to look at all possibilities.
And last one, Dr. Carson, should Trump, or would you support Trump prosecuting President Biden?
I think in his speech yesterday or the day before, that he took a more conciliatory tone and recognizes that the problems that face us right now are enormous. And we could spend a lot of time going after people or we could address those problems. I think we've already seen that President Trump is not a highly vindictive individual, and that he didn't go after Hillary after he was elected in 2016.
You're saying President Trump is not a highly vindictive people. He's literally pledged to prosecute to Joe Biden. He said he would do that. He said he would go after people.
He also said it about Hillary, but he never did that. And in my opinion, he should have.
Who wronged him.
I always have a tendency to look and see what people do, not so much what they say, particularly in the heat of the political environment.
Which they never want to acknowledge. They'll, of course, acknowledge that for Joe Biden, but they'll never acknowledge that for Donald Trump. They'll just say, oh, whatever he said, they'll take whatever he says and amplify it times 1,000 every time.
Trump, Dr. Carson, talks about getting revenge almost every day on social media. I mean, really, just days ago. I mean, should voters not take that seriously? Should voters have to wait until he's actually president to find out if that's going to happen?
Well, Trump has been president before, and he didn't do anything to a lot of these people, really any of them, that he made that claim for. So obviously, it's just big talk. By get revenge, he means I'm going to do good. I'm going to excel. It doesn't mean I'm actually going to put these losers who probably should be in jail in jail.
Most recently, you have heard him say that the things that face us right now are so pressing that he's not going to have time to be vindictive.
He said he's not going to have time to be a dictator, which is an interesting thing to say. Dr. Ben Carson, thank you.
I said to be vindictive.
To be vindictive as well.
See how she tries to,
thank you.
See how she tries to put words in his mouth? Like, it's just so crazy. Like, these people will literally stop at nothing to, like, twist everything around, put words in people's mouth, like own in on like one thing that somebody said out of a complete statement. It's like, how misrepresentative do you have to be to take a complete statement and like take this one little small little part of it? Like, these people are crooks. They're shills, arguably evil. Definitely arguably evil, because they'll literally stop at nothing. When you got people who literally lie to get their way, you just can't trust them. Nobody should be trusting people like Abby Phillip, Caitlin Collins, a lot of these people like Joy Reid on MSNBC. A lot of these people have been busted being hypocrites. They're not trustworthy. They'll say anything. They'll misrepresent anything. And in this video, it's proven Ben Carson effortlessly dismantled them. It's over for y'all. Everybody's getting on to y'all. It's over for y'all. The red wave's coming. Either, hey, get ready for it. Grab your surfboard and get washed away. All right, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.